Hey everybody, Uncle Kenny here. How's everybody doing today? Everybody okay? All right. As always, got to make sure my fam is doing well. Let's get this timestamp out the way. It is June 13th. Happy Sunday, 2021. June 13th, 2021 at the time of the recording, about 8:35 Eastern. So depending on where you are and when you are watching, obviously good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're coming back to the channel, welcome back to the crib, big baby. As always, it is so good to see you. If this is your first time visiting the channel, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to stop by. I appreciate you doing that. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Good to see you as well. If you would, go ahead and take a half a second and hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel grow, and it'll certainly help us reach more people. And you'll also want to hit that notification bell as well, so you will be notified when there's something new for you to check out. You're going to need a pen and paper, guys, for this. At least I think you will. Of course, you can always pause the video and come back and pick up later, but you're certainly going to need a pen and paper. At least I think you will need a pen and paper. We've got, 2 more days before we hit our 30-day mark. I started the YouTube channel back on May the 15th. I set a personal goal. I don't know why I did this, but a personal goal to try to pump out a video every day for the first 30 days. So I've got my fingers crossed that I can do 2 more. I know I can pump out one tomorrow. We'll see how Tuesday goes. That's close to the time when I'm going to be traveling. So we will see how that goes. But listen, excuse me. I want to take this time to thank you. And I know how I probably thanked you on all of my previous videos, but I was looking at some of the numbers last night, and we have had over 15,000 people view the channel. They haven't subscribed, but over 15,000 people have viewed this channel less than 30 days. When I saw that, I was really I was speechless. I was overwhelmed. I mean, I'm like, what can I say? But thank you. I certainly didn't envision that when I held my cell phone up to my face and did that very first video back on the 15th of last month. And so, man, and the other thing I saw, not only are you viewing the channel, but when I look at hours watched, you guys are spending a lot of time on the channel, and that really helps the channel grow, man. So big hug from Uncle Kenny. Man, look, I appreciate that. I know my wife, we were talking the other day, she says, you like this YouTube thing. I've never seen you get this engaged and just have fun talking to yourself. I said, well, you know, I'm in radio. I talk to myself for a living. Well, there's people listening, hopefully. But when I did that first video, I was certainly talking to myself. And you guys have just embraced me and allowed me into your home every day. I had one subscriber yesterday said, you know, every morning I wake up and watch Uncle Kenny. So, man, look, I appreciate that. You guys just don't know how much that means. For those who have called me, you know, I've probably expressed that to you verbally over the phone. And so I just want to say thank you. I'll get some emails now saying your intro is too long. This is Uncle Kenny's channel. We do what we do here, right? But I appreciate that, man. I really, really do. Thank you so very much. And let's keep it up, man. We are growing. We are growing. That is important because when we grow, we get in front of more people. Our channel was obviously different from most others. We have real, intelligent, articulate, grown folk conversation here. And we're going to continue to do that. All right. There's no charge. You know, it's free cover charge here every day, all day. And that will not change. Okay. Got my word on that. So let's move forward. As you can see, the title, it's almost like a piggyback from yesterday, right? Yesterday was let's talk money. Today we're going to talk truck expenses. What are your expenses, right? I had a couple of emails. Kenny, you can't just tease us now. You gave us a little bit yesterday. We talked about the personal side. What's our obligations? You know, how much money do we have to make to, you know, maintain our household? Then what's that expense for the truck? What that way I can determine what that truck needs to produce in terms of income, right? So today we're going to talk a little bit about the expenses, right? And guys, I don't know everything. I'm primarily today going to tell you about my expenses, okay? And they may or may not be the same for you. Probably won't be, but I'm going to share mine with you if that's okay. And you can determine, excuse me, and you can determine if some of these are going to apply to you. So guys, I have what I call two types of expense. Number one is what I call a variable expense. Number two is what I call a fixed expense. Now that variable expense, it's not an expense until you move that truck. Okay, does that make sense? The fixed expense is just what it says. It's fixed. It's going to be there regardless whether you move your truck or not. Excuse me, God. There I go that morning. That clearing your throat. I don't think I had to do that yesterday. But anyway, did you get your pen and paper? You ready? Okay. If I'm looking, guys, over here, I apologize. I always keep my notes on my cell phone here. So I'm going to be doing this, doing this, doing this, doing this. It's because I'm looking at my notes that I put in my cell phone. Okay. Let's jump in. We're going to first talk about the variable expense. I hope I'm articulating or saying that word right. The biggest variable expense, and I think I have about 9 of them here. One of them may not apply. So here we go. Number one, fuel. This is a variable because if you're not moving that truck, you're not putting fuel in it, right? So that's why I'm calling this a variable expense. Number two, driver pay. If you're going to have a driver, this is a variable because if the driver's not driving, the truck is not moving, you don't have this expense. But if you do, driver pay. If you're driving your own truck, you don't have to concern yourself. This probably will not apply. Number three, factoring fees / quick pay. If you are invoicing your broker directly and they're paying you quickly, within a day or two, quick pay, that's a fee. But for most of us, factoring fees, right? That's a variable. If your truck is not moving, there's nothing to factor, right? You don't have any loads to factor, there's nothing to factor. Number four, if you are over the road, at some point you will have to deal with this particular fee. Tolls. Man, especially if you're going up to New York. So that's number four, tolls. Here's one that our newbies may or may not be doing, but Uncle Kenny certainly recommends. Again, this is what I do. These are my expenses. I'm not telling you what to do, but I would recommend this one. I'm going to tell you why. But number five, scales. So guys, when I get picked up, loaded, the first thing I do is drive to a scale, weigh out. Want to make sure I'm not overweight. Okay. You know, we've talked about that in previous videos, how to determine how much weight you can have. And we talked about what could happen if you're overweight, right? Those 3 letters, DOT, yeah, don't play, right? So I do this every single time. Now, I know I'm going to get some people say, well, just look at your paperwork, your bill of lading. It's going to happen. I don't trust in that. Most time, guys, it's accurate. It's right. But I don't. This is just a personal preference for me. Beeline every time for me to that scale. That's a fee. I have to pay for that every single time. But I know I'm legal. You know, and I got a peace of mind. So that's just for me. That should apply, may not apply. This is what I do. That's number 5 for me, scale. I scale out every single time that I get a load. Now, if someone throw a roll of paper towels on there that I can hold in one hand, but why would somebody pay me to pick that up and deliver, right? So rule of thumb for me, I go to the scale. That's number 5. Number 6, this may or may not apply. If you are in a box truck, which most of us are, this is probably not going to apply at all. But that's scales. So, scales. Permits. Permits is number 6. So tractor trailer, for example, if you have an oversized load, you may need a permit for that. Okay? But again, box trucks don't apply. You're not got to worry about that in most cases. Anyway, number 7. If you're going to have a dispatcher, someone that books your loads for you, dispatcher, that's going to be another variable fee. Okay? You know, if you're not moving, you're not picking up loads, you're not going to have this fee. So dispatcher is number 7. Repairs and maintenance is going to come in at number 8. Tire repair, oil change, even truck wash, guys. That's an expense. Number 9, here's that debatable one, right? Again, this is my expense. This is what I incur, not telling you to. Number 9 for Uncle Kenny, hotels. This is a variable expense. If I'm not over the road, I'm not moving, I don't have this expense. So that's why I put it under the variable. But if I'm over the road, I'm rolling, I'm moving, hotel comes at number 9. So those were my list of variable expenses, okay? Yours may be different, probably will be different. I may have missed something that you would suggest, but those are the 9 that I have, okay? Quick recap: fuel, driver pay, factoring, tolls, scales, permit doesn't really apply. Dispatcher certainly does. Repairs and maintenance, you know, the tire repair, at some point you will need that. Oil change, truck wash. Truck wash I use often. Hotels, okay? Let's move on into the fixed expense, or expenses. Overhead, if you will. Number 1, insurance. Guys, that's in place regardless if you're moving that truck, if you're going to keep that authority active. And that's one of those big, if not the biggest expense, right? Insurance. Number 2, equipment. This could be a bigger expense than your insurance. Everybody's situation is different. I know a lot of you are renting trucks, paying $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month before they add the miles onto it. So that may be higher than your insurance, depending on where you are and what rate you got your insurance for. So, but I'm going to say those are the 2 biggest expenses. Fixed expense is insurance and your equipment, you know, especially if you have a truck payment. Now, if you paid cash, you don't have that monthly expense, but you do have to pay your business back, right? You bought the truck, so you want that money to come back. So, but this is primary for those who are retailing, meaning they financed their truck, or maybe they leased their truck. Even if you rented it, that's still, unless you're taking your truck back every week and leave and going back 2 weeks later and getting another truck. But in most cases, that's a fixed expense, right? Truck note. Number 3 is parking. This may or may not apply for everybody depending on where you house your truck when you're not moving. For me, I use a storage facility. Now, this storage facility is not your typical storage facility. It's primary for party buses, limousines, tour buses, and what do they call those things? Old school, we used to call them Winnebagos. I think they call them RVs. Now, I don't know what they call them, but that, and of course, box trucks. So this is where I keep mine. Some of you may be able to keep it at your house if you have a proper setup. I know one of my other YouTube friends keeps his at his house. My neighborhood doesn't allow that. We have the, what's the HO? I forget how you say it, but can't do it in my neighborhood. So I have to keep it in the store. Some of you may use what they call a truck yard. So that's a fixed expense, right? That's number 3. Number 4, load board. Yes, load board. Can't forget about that. That's a fixed expense for me. Talking about my expenses, guys, may not apply, but this is what I pay for. Number 5 is my ELD, electronic logging device. You have to have that if you operating legally. Now, you can pay for this annually, annual subscription. In most cases, I've seen monthly. I pay monthly. So that's number 5, your ELD. That's a fixed expense. Number 6, this is certainly what I do. Not telling you what to do. You may or may not do this. You may not want to do it. You may not have thought about it. Not telling you what to do. It's an accountant, CPA, someone to keep your books. I'm not qualified to keep my own books. I don't know how to do it, and nor do I have the time. So I have a CPA, but I have a CPA in my other 2 businesses. And so this is just a third one. She's charging me for it more, but it's how I keep my books. And so at the end of the year, when it's time to meet up with our Uncle Sam, you know, I'm good to go. So if you qualified and know how to do this, you will certainly save yourself a lot of money. I don't know if you'll save yourself a lot of time because it is time consuming. But, you know, I don't want to focus on all of that. Just want to drive. So number 6 for me is an accountant, someone to keep my books. And this could be a monthly expense or it could be a quarterly, depending on how you set it up, should you choose to go this route. So that's number 6 for a fixed expense for Uncle Kenny. Number 7, cell phone and internet. Fixed expense for me. Cell phone and internet comes in at number 7, man, and that's a big expense for me. Now, I wrote down number 8, guys, but I didn't put nothing next to the number 8. But I probably should have. Number 8, fixed expense. Food, right? That's fixed. We got to eat every day, right? You know, now, man, what I do or what I did when I was on the road, over the road, I would really pack up a lot of food and I would put it in a cooler. And that saved me money and it saved me time. Because the only time I would stop is to fuel up and I would keep on pushing, man. We talked about that average 2,500 to 3,000 miles per week. That's how I did it. And a lot of times I was hitting 3,000 because I was moving. Now, some will say they can do more. If you can do that and still be in compliance with your logbooks, by all means. But this is typically the average of what I was able to do and what I was seeing is 25 to 3,000 miles in a week. But you got to keep your butt in the seat to do that, man. And of course, obviously, you got to have the freight to move, right? So that's it, guys. Those are a list of expenses that you may or may not have, depending on your situation. All of our situations are different. That is mine that I wanted to share. You know, hopefully that you had your pen and paper, and hopefully that helped you. This is kind of like I say, a part 2 of yesterday's video that was titled, Let's Talk Money. We kind of talked expense today, or expenses today. So those were my expenses. And man, oh man, I really should call all of these are fixed, right? Because your truck shouldn't be sitting. Now, if you got home time, if you're over the road, then, you know, it may sit a few days, depending on how long you're going to be at home. But yeah, there it is. Hope it helped. If I missed something you would recommend, leave them in the comments if it's respectful. If it's not, just directly send me an email. You can also pick up the phone as well. And that's all I have for you. This was almost 20 minutes. We're almost 18 minutes now, 17:45. So I appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch the video. If this was your first time watching one of my videos, I hope it was enjoyable and helpful. So I'm going to try to give you one tomorrow, and then we will see about Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll be traveling, and we'll be doing a truck review. I've got to get a few batters. We'll hit a couple of corners, knock the dust off, and I don't think I've been in my truck for a minute. So we'll do those videos that you love and that you see a lot of YouTubers do, and that's driving, right? I'll show you that next week, midweek. So hopefully you'll be here for that. Tough times, guys, don't last forever. Tough people always do. Money does not come with instructions. It comes with a lot of things, but there's no how-to guide on how to spend it, right? Money doesn't come with instructions, so you have to be smart in your decision-making process. Be smart, be patient, be disciplined. Have a plan. Write that plan down, and you'll be okay. All right? We'll talk to you in 24 hours. Have a great Sunday. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.